Now I know what you've been thinking. Other than the innovation of the platonic adventures of John and Luke, YouTube just hasn't really been the same in the last, 9 months. But after a long 9 months, it brings me such great joy to finally be able to say, welcome to John's Wrestling Views. I'm your host, John. Thanks for tuning in. I can't help but to think that with WrestleMania this Sunday, I needed to bring back John's Wrestling Views before this Sunday, because there's so much to talk about with WrestleMania being this Sunday. And today's episode's just designed to kind of give my WrestleMania predictions, so to speak, in a way of getting myself back out in the air. So I'm going to start it. I'm a little disappointed for the fact that Miz and Wade Barrett is the pregame show match of the night for the Intercontinental title. Should be good. I'm expecting a Miz victory. Miz is undefeated at WrestleMania. Granted, this isn't technically WrestleMania, but expect a new Intercontinental champion if you ask me. Going into WrestleMania itself, there's two matches I want to focus on. I am thinking, starting with Jericho, and I'm not going to, say his name all extravagant or anything, but Fandango. I'm expecting a Jericho victory for one main reason. There's both Fandango and Big E Langston are both debuting at WrestleMania. I thought it was fitting that maybe one of them has a victory for their debut match and the other doesn't win. Which leads me to a tag title match. I'm expecting this to be the first match of the evening. And I am expecting, actually, new champions, as in Big E Langston and Dolph Ziggler, to beat Team Hell No, Kane and Daniel Bryan. I don't know how the finish would be necessarily. I'm like I said, expecting it to be the first match of the evening, because later on it will be Del Rio defending the world title against Jack Swagger. Jack Swagger got in trouble about a month or two ago now with a DUI for having possession with marijuana. And above all else, any other facts, I'm thinking it'd be stupid that, granted, he got past suspension, he didn't get suspended or whatever. So, if WWE was rewarding him for that and giving him the title at WrestleMania, it makes no sense at all. And with how their rivalry's been lately, it only makes sense that Del Rio wins the title. However, Del Rio as the champion hasn't been doing as great as WWE had been hoping. Therefore, Dolph Ziggler has promised a while back that he's leaving WrestleMania with 2 championships. Granted, he was hoping it'd be the world title and the WWE title. Well, obviously that's not the case. But I'm thinking the tag titles and, yes, the world title is what we could be seeing at WrestleMania, as Ziggler would cash in Money in the Bank, becoming the new world champion against Del Rio. Here's where I stand with things. WrestleMania is all about, or WWE in general is all about unpredictability. They want to surprise the audience. And I think too many people are convinced that they know the outcomes of the matches, mainly referencing the main event 3 with Brock Lesnar, Triple H, Undertaker, and CM Punk, and then The Rock and John Cena. And I'm not saying WWE's going to do anything to change that per se, but I'm saying they still want to surprise you somehow. And this is one surprise I'm expecting that I don't know if anyone else has realized. I don't know how much you watch SmackDown. I don't watch a whole lot right now, to be honest, but I have watched the last few weeks. Originally, Ryback was supposed to be in the match against The Shield. It was supposed to be Ryback, Sheamus, and Randy Orton against The Shield. And Theodore Long and Vicky Guerrero were the ones who took Ryback out of that match. Booker T wasn't so happy about it because Theodore Long was working with Vicky Guerrero as opposed to Booker T. Though Theodore Long looks at he's working with Booker T looks at it as he's supposed to be working for Booker T. So Booker T wasn't happy that Teddy Long was part of that decision of taking Ryback out of that match and making Ryback versus Mark Henry. Along with that, they had their bench press competition last Friday on SmackDown, where, as far as I know, Mark Henry and Ryback were supposed to be out at different times on the stage, benching the 250 pounds. Well, Theodore Long made the decision that both of them would be on the stage at the same time, and his excuses, they have this no touching each other policy or whatever. Well, Mark Henry went and he did the 251 presses, and then Ryback went and Mark Henry choked him out with the bar, with that 250 pounds. I can't help but to think this was actually a setup. Plus, with the idea that Theodore Long used to be Mark Henry's manager, I'm actually thinking that Theodore Long heel turn at WrestleMania, as weird as that sounds, and Mark Henry beats Ryback. I think the Shield is finally going to get stopped at WrestleMania. I'm hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that they remain a faction after WrestleMania, because they're awesome as a faction, and they do great as single athletes too. I think right now it's time to believe in the Shield. They're just a great team, and I hope they stick around as the Shield past WrestleMania. But I think, with how much they've been winning lately, they've won all their matches. I think just it makes sense that their momentum gets stopped at WrestleMania at the hands of Randy Orton, Sheamus, and the Big Show. I'm hoping I'm wrong, though. I am actually a fan of the Shield. We'll just see what happens. Now, as far as the 3 main events are concerned, it really pains me to say it, but expecting Undertaker to go 21-0. It's interesting with the whole Paul Bearer angle, because obviously no one was expecting him to actually pass. WWE actually was granted permission from Paul Bearer's family to run their storyline like they've been doing with CM Punk and The Undertaker the last few weeks, with all the disrespect for Paul Bearer that CM Punk's been showing. They had permission from Paul Bearer's family to do that. However, last Monday on Raw, when CM Punk was pouring out what was the ashes on The Undertaker from that urn, clearly sand, Paul Bearer's family didn't actually see it going that way. I don't think they were too thrilled with it. So, interesting thought. But I can't help but to think that CM Punk's been in charge all this time in their rivalry. It only makes sense that The Undertaker wins. Triple H's career is not over yet. Brock Lesnar, it's going to be a great match, but I'm thinking, Triple H will win. I'm excited to see Shawn Michaels back, and I was posting, there's discussion, if you go on Facebook, Nebraska Wrestling Fans, NWF, there is a page that's designed for wrestling fans around the area, and you don't even have to be from Nebraska, but we sit back and we talk about wrestling. Talk about what we thought of Raw or SmackDown or whatever, and things we like to see, so on and so forth. A lot of fun. I'd recommend, if you get the chance and you're a Facebook user, like just about everybody is, come check us out. It's fun. But yeah, as I was saying on there, I'm guessing at least Paul Heyman's going to end up with Sweet Chin Music that night. And then as far as The Rock and John Cena, yes, The Rock's been champion now. He won last year's WrestleMania. Now it's time for John Cena's revenge. And as much as people don't want to see it, I really do think 2013 is the year of John Cena. And it all starts with, he won the Royal Rumble match, and now he gets his WrestleMania revenge against The Rock, wins the title. Just makes sense to me. Maybe a rubber match at Extreme Rules, I don't know. As far as today, even, it's Friday the 5th, 2 days before WrestleMania, it's Thursday the 4th, wow. I read that The Rock doesn't know for sure if he's doing WrestleMania 30, so that's huge right there. Yeah, completely thinking John Cena here. Those are my predictions, though. Feel free to let me know what you think. If you agree with me on things, disagree, or surprised by what I said, by all means, let me know. Otherwise, it's great to be back. Thanks for tuning in. I'm John. Have a good one.